Ukraine is still hitting infrastructure, particularly oil infrastructure. Just made a short about how it's taken out about estimated percent of the oil production in Ukraine. So what we're looking at now is them being Russia, not not allowing exports right now of crude. They're keeping it all for themselves right now in the war machine. Will it make it come to a halt? No. Do they repair a lot of it? Yes. But are they aiming for things that are hard to repair, that are hard to replace? Absolutely. They're hitting, I forget the name of pieces of technology that are make it very difficult for them to replace it quickly. So it can be offline for some time. Now, do they defend those things vigorously? Yes and no. The ones that they thought were out of range, they certainly thought those were safe until domestic production of the Long Neptune and Flamingo, which are these wonderful missiles. The story behind that goes the Flamingo accidentally was the first one was pink, and they just started to run with it, so now they're pink in color. So they called them the Flamingo because flamingos are pink. So what else do we got going on? Let's talk about the Middle East maybe. What happened in Qatar? We know about that. And knocked out some high-level Hamas. And what else we got? Nobody's here, so let's see here. I didn't announce that I was going to be live. I thought maybe I could catch a couple people, but a lot of people are probably at work right now. Last time we were talking about what mass extinctions. We could pivot to that if we want, but we can talk about mass extinctions. Um, we can even talk about the one that just happened, the most recent one. It wasn't a mass extinction, but it was an extinction nonetheless. 10,000 years ago, you had mammoths, smilodons, the saber-toothed cats, short-faced bear, dire wolves that were twice the size of the wolves of today. There was a beaver about the size of those little punch buggy cars. Yeah, there was a sloth that was 6 feet tall. There was like I said, the short-faced bear and the smilodon, saber-tooth. There was the mastodon and the mammoth, and they're all gone. All of them are gone. This was only 10,000 years ago, and a lot of paleontologists would like to point to the fact that it was probably overhunting that caused the demise of all the not megafauna, but anyway, the mega beasts, and along with the animals that I just mentioned. Also, there was a camel that lived. It was called the Western camel. So yeah, there wasn't just the short-faced bear didn't make it. That camel didn't make it. There obviously the mammoths and mastodons did not make it. The 6 foot sloth did not make it. The beaver sausage did not make it. Saber-tooth cat or Smilodon did not make it. And a lot of people want to blame it on the Clovis people or the Paleo Indians. They were the Native Americans of today's ancestors, and they were thought to arrive through the barren. Because back then, you got to understand, this is an ice age ending approximately 12,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago, and so the water level table was much lower. So a lot of their cities, if they had some, would be erased at this point in time because it's about 500. I forget the exact amount, but anyway, a lot because they would particularly want to live just like we do on the coast, right? Because there's a lot of fish and other stuff that you can get from the ocean. You can travel on the sea. If there was a lot of technology or not technology, but we lost a lot of stuff that because of the ocean increasing it's table. Water level has increased, and it's increasing now because of uh, warming temperatures. We're going through like right now. We're technically still in an ice age. Anytime there is ice on the poles, because if you go back to the Carboniferous, I mean, there was no ice at all on the poles, and it was much warmer than today with much more carbon dioxide. Now, we know that the Himalayas have caused cooling, can cause global cooling. The exposed rock through weathering also is a carbon collector. So it just like the oceans also collect a lot of the carbon. About 90% of the carbon gets collected in the oceans and through this weathering process. And there's only a small amount. Do you know that it's not even 1% of the gases in our atmosphere? It's 21 percent oxygen, and the rest is basically nitrogen, 78 point whatever percent. And then there, everything else is trace gases, the methane, everything else is point, 0.2 or 0.2 or, so that's much different than like Venus, which is, a hellscape, a very, very big hellscape, obviously. But let me read some of these comments. I just realized you didn't read a textbook. Yeah, sure, buddy. I just joined. All right. Hey, you just joined Fried Chicken? Thanks. I love you as a brother, Matthew Rose. Khalid. Thanks, buddy. Like brother. Hey, Australian here, want you talk about history or climate change? I mean, here, what are you talking about, history or climate change? Both. I mean, I'm talking about both. Who asked me that question? Oh, that was Knuckle Fried Chicken again. Yeah, so, what do you want to talk about? I'm pretty well read, obviously. And, I look a lot younger than I am, so I've been doing this studying and researching and for my entire professional life. Anyway, so during the Carboniferous, you had a lot more tree growth because the carbon dioxide was way higher. And if you go back, there was insects that were huge. And do you know why? And we have actually found out the reason. Now, it was guessed the insects were so large because they have a very efficient way of breathing. Their lungs, their breathing, they have like whole. Anyway, that's besides the point. We tested it in the lab. The oxygen levels were much higher. So you had 6 foot long or 3 foot long dragonflies and 6 foot long disgusting millipedes with 50 legs on each side, obviously. These things were just, imagine living back then. Cockroaches were huge. So what they did was to test it. And I'll read some comments in just a second. Let me just finish this statement. So they took cockroaches and they put them in today's oxygen level environment. And then they took the same from the same batch and they put them in a baby cockroach in a one with a climate that had higher oxygen. I don't know how much they increased it, but they increased it. They grew to double the size. So it was definitely, that was one of the things. Have you guys ever heard of island dwarfism and ocean gigantism? Like there's a people that have like the most uncontacted tribe on earth is the North Sentinelese. And anyone that goes to the island usually gets killed. And there's all past instances. And the recent one was the missionary from America that wanted to go. It's illegal to go to this island. You could wipe them out with just, what you, they are not, their immune systems are not okay with the diseases that we have, vice versa, probably also. But so anyway, they live on that island, and you're not supposed to go there, and it's owned by the Indian government, and there's a 3-mile no-go zone. And in fact, they went to check on them with helicopters during the 2004 tsunami. They thought they were dead, but they were smart. They knew what to do. They all got up high up into a high enough area where they all survived. We don't know how many there are because it's a high canopy. We know that we're pretty sure that they don't even know how to make fire. They may keep fires going. That's how primitive it is. They have bows and arrows, and there was a couple of times that they had. So there was a big container ship called the Pemrose, SPEM Rose, and it got went aground right on the island. It was about 20 or 30 yards from shore, and they had to fight them off with flare guns, and they were coming out in canoes trying to kill them. And for 3 days, they fought them off with axes and flare guns and whatever else they could throw at them or keep them at bay. They were rescued with a helicopter, and then they did a salvage. And during the salvaging of that, the metals and stuff, they just gave up because these people are so violent. And then, so they used it as technology there in the Iron Age or whatnot because they used the steel and iron from the ship to put on the tips of their arrows. We know that, and now they have met. So they have gone up to higher technology, but they're like literally the most uncontacted. They've been contacted like so. The very first time they were contacted, it was from the English, and this is why they probably hate us. So they just basically kidnapped 2 adults and 3 children, and they got sick. The adults died, and then they brought the 3 children back, and they were with customs and gifts and dressed probably like them because they're oh, but my point was they're very short. And the pygmies were on an island too. They were very short. And there was bones found. The Hobbit people, the Florensis Africanus, or whatever the hell it's called, they were called. It was just found on an island, and they were human, a race of bipedal humans that were just like a Neanderthal, so a different species, but like us. And they found it, and it was on an island, like I said. This is fairly recently, within a decade ago, I think. And it's about so about 3.5 feet tall, adult. So what I'm trying to say is, that's a real thing because it's thought to believe that even in humans evolved this too. The smaller because there's not much resources on an island, and you're kind of stuck there, so you become smaller. And the same thing happens in the reverse in deep oceans. Now, let me read some of your stuff here, guys. I'm sorry. All right. All right. What rehab center is this? Yeah, okay, Kevin. Said hi. Hey, John Lesser. Victor, I can't read. I don't know what that means, dude. That's in Spanish. Hi, brother. Where are you from? Yeah, so I'm from. How you doing, Cam? I am from America, in the Northeast, New England. Greetings from Uranus. I like Uranus. All right. Normally you say this is included. Okay, knuckle fried chicken. Whatever you have to say. I believe. Who this funny looking fella? Okay, but anyway, I'll continue. A bunch of trolls, obviously. So I don't go live that often. I never ask for money. I haven't asked for a penny. I just like to educate and have some discourse. I was thinking about putting up, getting a second phone and setting it up so where we could have debates, and I could put it on audio, speaker. So we could debate with each other also. But that's just, or you guys could give me your phone number and we could do it maybe that way. I don't know. But it'd be nice to find something that you guys might want to talk about. Yeah, rest in peace, my friend. I know. So sad, isn't it? I'm so horrified about what happened there. It's a tragedy, it really is. I've listened to a lot of his stuff. See, with me, I was born in Massachusetts, which is a left-leaning state. So I grew up more to the left. And then as I grew older, especially in the last 5 years, they've lost me. It doesn't make any sense anymore. I've come to terms with me being fooled somewhat. And yeah, so now I'm center to the right. And I grow more and more to the right every day. You see, and that's okay. People, should be able to talk. He was trying to point the youth in the right direction, telling them to get, an education that matters, not one that isn't going to produce anything when you're going to be stuck with debt for the rest of your life. That was one kind thing he did. He did say he was a very religious person. So yeah, I just don't want to talk about him anymore because I'm very upset about it all. Anyway, let's change the topics. What do you guys want to talk about? I'd like to talk about anything besides that because I'm just. Thanks for bringing it up, man. But yeah. All right. So we can talk about the Himalayas themselves, or we can talk about China and how they've been damming up rivers like the Mekong. Now the Mekong's and using that as soft power against countries that are down the river, downstream. Here's what they've been doing. The Mekong. So you got Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. And in Vietnam, the river is called the Mekong, and it turns it into an inland sea. It's fishery. It's a big part of their GDP. So now they've been damming it up so much to where they can make it trickle to where people, because people live right on the river and they need it for crops, obviously, and to drink and yada, 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 and to live. So they have to move also. Or they could just release all of it at once and not say anything. And all of a sudden or you could let them know it doesn't even matter. It would destroy billions of dollars worth of property and kill thousands of people. But also now you have power over them. They've been doing the same thing in India. That's why they want Tibet so bad. That's why they control Tibet, because Tibet is the rooftop where Everest is located almost. That's Nepal. But so they own all those areas and they're doing the same thing in India. In India, after the war with that skirmish with Pakistan, they ripped up the treaty with the Indus River. And the Indus River is so important. In fact, right now, India had to release some water, but they just had to because the dams were overflowing. So they released it and it contributed to one of the biggest floods in the history of Earth that we know of in recent times. It's causing quite the damage in Pakistan again. They just can't win, and they just got $1 billion from the IMF, the Intermonetary Fund, to try and get their shit going again. But this is their 20th time that they've and they also owe China money, and they're a country that has nuclear weapons, and they do it. They keep them in a funny way. They travel. They take the nuclear weapons and they move them all the time because they can't trust. Because there's so much extremism in Pakistan, especially in the mountainous regions on the border of Afghanistan. But some of that ideology gets into their military, and they have nuclear fucking weapons. Excuse my language. They have nuclear freaking weapons, and that's scary as all hell, right? I mean, you got India, you got Pakistan, and they would just throwing blows at each other there. India won that decisively, and it made the Chinese air defense systems look kind of weak. So yeah, so that got quelled, and what was it? They've been fighting over the Kashmir region forever. It's one of the most lit up borders on Earth, if not the most, and you can see the lights from space. And yeah, they're very rabid about immigration now. They're saying that because what happened, there was a huge friggin' 24 Hindus were shot by 3 extremists that then fled back into Pakistan, and friggin' they aren't arresting them there. They just went in and killed 24 Hindus and 1 Muslim that got in the way. They were telling people to take down their pants to see if they were circumcised, find out if they were Muslim or not, or to say a Muslim verse. It was crazy what's going on, in this world right now. And obviously, Myanmar, everyone's fighting over that. Why fighting over that? Because of all the minerals and rare earths. Everyone wants to control the production of that right now. it's becoming a national security risk for the United States because China, that's their only card that they hold that they can use in trade because it's quite the card. They have of the production, it's 90%, and rare earth mines and all that. They're in the majority on that too. So it's really crazy. Now, the reason the United States does it is A, it's not profitable, and B, for us because trying to put them out of business. But here's the thing that you have to subsidize this stuff. I know that stuff has already begun because the pollution that's made from, they're not rare, they're very abundant, but extracting them is a process that uses all these chemicals and yeah, so it's like in America with all the regulations, it's not feasible. There was a plant and it shut down. Okay, see what we got. Stop talking about India. Why? I like India. Unfortunately, the live stream is also a bit pointless and without any observable person. That's why I asked at the beginning and multiple times, what do you guys want to talk about? Please, so we can get up one point, so we're not just jumping all over the globe. My channel, sir, Mr. Randall, is mainly about geopolitical stuff with a historical context sometimes. But I will sometimes add science breakthroughs and a little history here and there. But yeah, so that's why we're jumping from here, and it's not pointless. Everything connects. When you're talking about geopolitical stuff, everything affects everybody else because economies are affected. And if there's any military action, obviously, oil, if it's an oil country, you're going to see prices increase and decrease. You know what I'm saying? So just want you to shut your mouth if you're not going to add to the conversation or give me something that you want to talk about, then shut up. All right, so who else we got here? Cheers from Pakistan to the world. Karachi. And yeah, fucking Pakistan. You know, I like Pakistanis. I was just living with some Afghanis, actually, believe it or not, for about 4 months, about 6 months ago. They're good, great people. I'm Jewish too, and they were Muslim, and we got along just fine. Okay, for the most part, three of us did. The other one, not so much. All right, let's see. They worked for the U.S. government and stuff. I don't know if you guys want to hear a little bit about my life, but it's not really that exciting, so probably just switch topics. So where was I? Was I talking about, where the hell was I? China, I think I was talking about. So anyway, does anyone know what the Great Wall 2.0 is being called? Well, it's something that they're setting up sensors in nets, like metal netting and stuff, all over the South China Sea. They claim the 9-dash line. They claim like all of the fucking South China Sea. That's all theirs, But anyway, that's between them. They can figure all that out. When I say them, I mean everyone else in Southeast China, all the countries. The Philippines especially are upset. The Vietnamese are upset. Cambodia somewhat. But particularly those two countries. That's why the Philippines allows us to have bases and stuff there too. We actually won the Philippines, and they fought for their independence from Spain. In 1890s, we had a war with Spain, won the war, and they seceded. What did we get? We got Cuba, we got Puerto Rico, we got we have a base in the Pacific on this place. So it's a very important part. Guam. And then so we kept Puerto Rico. We gave Cuba back right away to the Cubans. The Philippines, like I already explained what happened there. Guam, we're still there. We have a base there. It's very important. And there was one other that I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, so that's why the Philippines, we have a little history with them. Plus, during World War II, we landed there and we lost the island. And MacArthur actually had to leave and say, he famously said, "I shall return." I'll check out these comments in 1 second. and we did return, and we kicked the shit out of the Japanese there, and then we island hopped our way, Okinawa and all these places, and then the atomic bomb in 1945 on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Anyway, so let's see what we got here. Unfortunately, the live stream is also, yeah, I heard that already, buddy. What else we got here? It seems like people are just listening, and that's cool. Um, World War II is a fascination of mine. I love World War II stuff. I've always been into that. In fact, that's where I started my education, was in history, mainly American history, like World War II. But it's such a great war. You're not going to see anything like that again. The cooperation among the American people. Did you know that the bonds that were bought and the advertisement for them and all that stuff, half that money went to the war, and the other half was debt from the government. So that was debt from the government, and they actually paid for half of the war, the American people, which is insane. They got their money back plus interest, and then you had the Marshall Plan after that took care of the European, like Germany, because the communists took over Germany, so we airdropped in stuff. Anyway, that was the beginning of the Marshall Plan. That was what that was called. What's up, Mohammed Norman? You Muslim, sir? Mohammed? Are you Muslim? It's just the last name. It's throwing me off. Anyway, so what's going on with Israel and Palestine and Gaza? I mean, this is crazy. But I'm not even going to get into that topic. It's just too divisive. I got my views on it. So anyway, so yeah, guys, I hope you like this live stream. I don't do them that often, but I've just been starting to do them. I did, so I'm gonna take off. All right, guys, have a good day. I love y'all. Peace.